SoCal Gas, our lead sponsor, our title sponsor, who has really made all of this happen. Next, we have Kaiser Permanente, our great sponsor. They have sponsored us for so many things, including a new grant that we have. It's a national grant. So thank you so much, Kaiser Permanente. LA Care has been an awesome partner. We've been working with them since, I believe, 2000 and maybe about 2013. Liberty Hill, my goodness. Liberty Hill, we love you and appreciate you. You have just been a blessing to us. Supervisor Hilda Solis, you rock. Also, Sweet Life, thank you so much. And then for Giving for Living, one of my sisters in the Black Women Leaders, Wendy Gladney, who has partnered with us and sponsored us. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And of course, a big thanks to all of the Black women leaders of Los Angeles. You are my sisters and I love you. And then most importantly, also the Los Angeles Business Journal. Thank you so much. And also Bernard and Shirley Kinsey, the Kinsey Collection. So let me tell you something. We cannot do any of this without each one of you. I want to thank all of you for joining us for these last 6 sessions. And know that we're going to come back to you. We want to get your feedback and your thoughts and your ideas on, do you like this series? What can we do better? How can we improve it and make it more engaging? Do you like the time? So a survey is going to come to you, and we would appreciate it if you would respond. Okay, so next, let me tell you something. Right above you, you see 3 things. You see lounges. The lounges have already closed. You see checkout PRC. If you're not sure who we are and what we do, you better check us out. So our mission addresses trauma from a cultural and age perspective. We specialize in teen dating, domestic, interpersonal violence, sexual assault, and bullying. And we do so through leadership and healthy development, or leadership and healthy relationship development. We work with peers and youth and young adults and their families and teach them to be peer advocates and leaders. But we also work with educators and providers and help them to understand what trauma looks like from a cultural and age perspective. And then next is Donate Now. So let me tell you the importance of Donate Now. We need you to donate now. Not like later on. Okay, you can donate later on too, but like right now, we need you. Whether it is $5, $50, $500, $5,000, I'm gonna say it, 5 million, because I know we're gonna get it. And what we're using that money for is to conduct workshops like this, community events, also to pay our staff, to also provide stipends for people in the community who have needs. We have some people who have lost their homes, they don't have food and housing. They need emergency shelter if there's an abusive situation going on. And then also so that we can give back to the community and host special events and awareness events. So your donation is going to help us greatly. And we also partner with other organizations who may not have funding. And so we can pay for their fees and their services with your donations. Everything is going to go to the community to help them. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'll be looking to that donate button, and I'll get a bing that tells me that we've received donations so I can shout you out tonight, okay? And last but not least, you see this handsome person right next to me, Artie. Artie and Bree are our ASL interpreters from Pro Bono. We feel it's important that we have ASL interpreters because we don't know who's in the room. And we want to be able to support everyone. So on that note, let's just go ahead and make this party start. We're going to rock it. Oh, my goodness. Y'all, when I tell you, the people tonight are amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up some great people. The first person I'm going to bring up is my heart, my sister, my niece, my community partner, my collaborator, my ace boon coon, my road dog, Kelly Dillon with Back to the Basics and also Positive Results Center. Come on up, Kelly. And
Hello.
while we're waiting for Kelly to come up, we're going to also bring up Mr. Thomas Allen Smith. When I tell you Mr. Thomas Allen Smith he is dynamic, he is phenomenal, he is woo, he's everything. He is a dynamic man, married to an awesome woman, Tiffany Smith. So Thomas, come on up. And he's coming.
Hello,
Kelly, I'm
hello. How
so
you
glad
doing?
that you're
How's
here
everyone?
with us.
Okay,
Come on up, Mr. Thomas.
ma'am, I'm here. Hello, Candy. Hello, Kelly. You
All
know,
right, good. For some reason, I don't see you, but I'm gonna make it happen. Okay, awesome. And since Mr. Thomas is already talking, Thomas and then Kelly, why don't you just tell us a very little bit about yourself? So Thomas, let's start with you.
my name's Thomas Smith. Of course, as Candy has introduced me. I mean, I was formerly incarcerated in prison. I was in prison for 35 years.
Okay,
I was,
am I the only one has paused? Okay.
can you hear me?
Technology.
Candy's frozen right now. I can't see anything. Can't.
So wait a minute, Thomas.
Okay.
For some reason, you're going in and out.
Ask Kelly if you're going in and out for her.
Am I going in and out for you too, Kelly?
I am not hearing Thomas at all.
Okay. Kelly can hear me
I
clear.
can hear you really clear.
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to suggest that since you already got the question, even though Candy is frozen, to go ahead on and answer the question because I
Right.
believe the rest of the population can see it.
Okay, that's a great thing to know that. We can hear and see him. Well, I was formerly incarcerated. I was in prison for 35 years. I got out of prison about 5 years ago. I got involved in community activism because, I realized that some of the things that happened in the community that I was seeing when I got out of prison, that I was a reason that they were happening. And my reason had to do with the fact that I was a predator in my community prior to this. So my reasoning and thought process then was that my community is in shambles because of the things that I've done in my past that bring it forward in this future. So this is something that I've always seen, and I wanted to be able to do something in my community in a restorative way to give back. Not so much to say that what I've done was wrong, but I knew it was wrong. But to not only know that it was wrong, but to be able to give other people a chance and an opportunity to learn from bad decisions that I made. So that's what I've been doing. I've been involved in this work for a while. I'm passionate about it. I believe in this work, and I believe this work is something that can be productive, especially to the next population or the younger generation that's out there, to understand that in order to be who you are, you don't have to go to prison, and you don't have to be who everybody else wants you to be and expect of you. I'll pass it to Kelly. Now I can hear her.
Thank you so
Hello.
much, Thomas. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Dillon. I am the executive director of Back to the Basics. But as Candy has,
Kelly?
can you hear me?
I can hear you
Yeah,
clear.
I think
So y'all, let me tell you.
You're breaking up, Candy. We can't hear you.
yeah.
Kelly, keep going.
Okay, sorry, you guys. I know Candy is having a little bit of technical difficulties, but thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate that. So, once again, my name is Kelly Dillon. I'm the executive director of Back to the Basics. But as Candy introduced, I have been working alongside of Candy Lewis for about 10 years now, almost 10 years now. And for the last 3 or 4 years, I have been her project manager on a few of the grants in which Candy operates. And I'm so honored and privileged to work alongside of her and to be able to um, just do the work in the field we do in Los Angeles. A little bit about my history, just as Thomas shared. I'm also an formerly incarcerated individual. I have I have about 15 years of prison time that I have done, and my case was centered around violence. I'm very open about disclosing my history, my background, and my background was domestic violence and gang violence. And so I often tell the story that although I was a victim of domestic violence, I was a perpetrator of gang violence. And so, and because of that cycle of violence, and not having the right resources at 19, 18, 17 years old, I found myself incarcerated at the age of 19, and I served 15 years. And so, part of why I do the work right now is to make sure that another Kelly or another Thomas doesn't happen to the youth in our community. And so, that's the reason why, one of the reasons why I have partnered with Candy and the Positive Results Corporation, Positive Results Center, excuse me, for so long, is to make sure that we can move forward the violence prevention and intervention strategies that we want to see for the community. Yes. So I see that we have now have another question that we can move to. And so I'm just going to take over. Since I'm Candy's right hand, I'm going to just kind of help to lead this discussion as well,
Right.
Thomas. And I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind sharing with us, what is it that you believe was one of the reasons, or what led you to your incarceration? Because we're going to move from what kind of got us incarcerated to now what we learned while incarcerated and what we're doing now to advance social justice and
Well,
equity as community leaders.
Well, I could actually say that I believe not having mentors in my life and not having male figures in my life and being raised in a single family home with the mother, who was the mother, the father, and everything else all rolled into one. I think that played a big part in my decision making and in my upbringing as a whole. So not having those male figures in my life and not being able to tell me to make that distinction for the decision making process of right and wrong, I felt that everything that I've done was right. I mean, I feel like because I lived in an impacted community, and I was in the ghetto and in the hood, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to term that. I felt that anything that I'd done within that environment was okay because the people around me accepted it and the people around me were doing the same thing. So there was no one to tell me that it was wrong that I was doing. I mean, if I saw somebody dealing dope or drugs or whatever else, and my whole thing was that they got a pharmacy business, they're pharmaceutical. I mean, they're pharmacologists, whatever. So it wasn't up to me. I mean, if you're using that as a means to put food on your table, to put diapers on your baby, or to do whatever you need to do, I didn't have an issue with that. So that's how I developed a criminal and addictive thinking background, because I became enmeshed in that process. And as far as I was concerned, there wasn't, in my mind's eye, it wasn't wrong for what I was doing, because this was environmental and this is what I was taught and this is what I learned. And not having male mentors in my life and not having males in my life to tell me that it wasn't wrong, and all the ones that I was hanging out with and I looked up to told me it was the right thing to do. This is what you do. So I went with the status quo, so to speak.
So my question is, how much time did you do incarcerated?
I actually done 35 years on a 15-year to life sentence for second degree murder, here in
Wow.
Los Angeles County. And I've
Wow.
done this straight. I didn't do it like broken up. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, I was incarcerated for 35 years. For the first 25 years of that, the first quarter century, I was just a mess up. I didn't know what direction I was going. I was involved in gangs, activities, and things in prison. Anything that you wanted to do, I was involved in it. I mean, to the
Yeah.
point to where I didn't really care. I didn't, because there was, even in that environment, when you become a part of the criminal justice system and you have this criminal addictive thinking, you feel like you have arrived. So you got to get in there. You got to earn your stripes. You got to prove that you just as much down as the next person. You know what I mean? So it took about 25 years for me to understand that, you know what, and to come to the realization that if I don't get myself together and I don't do something to have that change and have that aha moment, I'm going to die in here,
Yes.
period. Sooner, and that's just the way it was.
Right. So I have a question, right? Because I understand what that long term, by me being a long termer as well, but you was like a long termer lifer. There comes a time where there's this aha moment, right? That while you're incarcerated and you're in that community, that another community, that something has to change, right? And then the one thing we say is that if you wait until you come home in order to start, then you've already kind of like you setting yourself up. So when did the aha moment for you, or when did life begin to shift and change for you while incarcerated, when you realized that you wanted to go into doing this work when you come home?
Well, I think when I decided, my decision came about from the fact that, I started attending classes and groups, Tony Robbins, I started facilitating that and getting involved in alternative to violence and things like that. And my aha moment coming, it clicked on me like, wait a minute, I'm sitting up here doing all this to prove who I am and what I am because I'm living in this society and this life in a fishbowl. But guess what? The real world is still going on outside around me. But at one point in time, I recognized that if you do these things that you need to do and you work on yourself and give yourself the tools and ability to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, you can get out of this situation and change your life and get out of prison. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to be in prison, and while you're in prison, to imprison yourself even more. Because we have a tendency to do that. People that are incarcerated, going to the SHU, going to ADSEG, being involved in violence, still continue to perpetrate that same cycle of violence that we were doing out in our society and community because that's all we know.
Right. So my question is, what do you feel that an individual needs to be prepared even before they come home? Because we're going to talk about what those that are formerly incarcerated, what they need or what they in order to have success, to be reintegrated. But what do you feel that a person needs to prepare themselves, or the family and the community needs to do to help prepare loved ones or those that they know before they even come home?
I think one of the most things I think that's important is an integral part is having a support system and a network in place where you can have people that you can depend upon who are not just selling you things or saying whatever they're saying to you because they want to get you off the phone, they don't want to write you a letter or stuff like that. But you got to have people that's actually going to be involved in your post incarceration, that's going to be able to give you that warm handoff and lead you into the community. You're going to have people that's there for you for your mental health and understanding what your mental health is, understanding what your spiritual boundaries are and where you're going there, and that you really have people that want to be in your corner to tell you what you need to do decisively to get out here and succeed in society, what the job placements are, what the criteria are, what you need to study for to make yourself available, to make yourself sellable for these things. I mean, because in prison, we've done all these other crazy things to do things. It's all about repackaging and marketing yourself and selling yourself out here in society, because that's basically what you have to do. You have to become a salesman to get other people to invest in you as a commodity to get you to be able to move you forward. And if you don't have a support system and a network in place, Kelly, as you know, you don't have nothing, because you got to have some legs to stand on in order to even start to walk.
So what was the support system for you? How were you able to get to a place of what you're doing now? So here's this a two-part question. Who was your support system, and what is the work that led you to the work that you're doing now? Because I want to go a little bit more about the work you're doing.
My support systems, when I was in prison, I got involved in a mentorship program through Health Right 360 through Walden House at the time. And I was trained to be a counselor, a drug counselor, or somebody that was a motivator for the yard, so to speak. And as I got into that, other people started steering me other directions. And I fell into this thing called the Amity Foundation. I was like, what is this Amity Foundation people talking about? And I found out it was here locally, here in Los Angeles County on 37th and Grand. And I reached out to them and I told them, hey, this is my situation. I wrote the lady there, Regina Slaughter and Doug Bond, and I told them, this is what my situation is, and I'm ready to make this change. And they actually reached out to me and told me, you know what? Our business is to help people like you and empower you and give you the ability to come back out to society and stand on your own 2 feet. So under that tutelage and being involved in that process with them over the next 2 or 3 years that I was going through my transition in prison, they became my underpinning, so to speak. They became the one that was supportive of me and my mission to really get out of prison. They gave me what I asked for. They gave me the tools of letting me know that when I got out, I wouldn't be homeless, that they would give me a place to stay, that they would help me do things that I need to do for jobs and employment and things like that. And true to their word, all the way up until I made it out of prison, went to board, got found suitable, and them writing support letters to the board and making them aware of the fact that they do have a place for me in Los Angeles County for me to be integrated back in society. And within 24 hours of me getting out of prison, I was at Amity Foundation and they came through for me.
Yeah. Amity is a bomb organization. I mean, it is a really good. I've been there and I've been on their
Campus.
grounds, their campus. Just the way it's set up, like an apartment. The garden they have in the back. It's a really good place to be, and they seem like they got a strong foundation. So I'm gonna move forward. What is the work that you're doing now? So talk about the work that you're doing now, and do me a favor, Thomas. I know you spitting it and you getting it real. You getting it out there. But for the sake of our ASL interpreters, we just want to slow it down a little bit so she can capture all of the wonderful things that you're saying.
Well, the work that I do now is mostly involve people that have mental health and co-occurring disorders. I work as a program manager for Timeless Group. You know, I worked my way up through the ranks for this position. I actually started out as a community health worker, and I was trained to do that through the program with whole person care and the ODR, the Office of Diversion and Reentry. And just learning those things, and from the county perspective of the things that you need to do this type of work. I think I was more passionate about this work than anything else, because of the fact that I understood what mental health was, and I understood that it was something that I needed to be a part of, because you can't be in prison all that time and think that you're not traumatized and think that you have not had issues of mental health. So that's what something that I experienced in and of myself on my own. So having that understanding, it just drew this work. It just became natural for me to want to be able to do this type of work, number one. Number two, understanding from my own past that I was a predator in my community. I knew, and my recognition of doing that, knowing that I had to do something in a restorative way, and so far as restorative justice, to give back to that community, because I can't repair the harm that I had caused that community already. I can only help better that community by bringing it back to its whole. Because in my opinion, the people that's going to bring our community back are the people that was formerly incarcerated, that's been there to do this kind of work, because they understand the dynamics of it, because they've been involved in that process. You can't take somebody that's got a PhD, work for the RAND Corporation, that's looking at a whole bunch of statistics and spreadsheets to tell you what's going to happen in your community. It doesn't work like that. That's just the blueprint that they have. Until you're there and enmeshed in that community, being a part of that, understanding what the struggles of the community are, understanding that people have mental health issues that they need to address them in and of themselves, understanding that they are going through trauma and what trauma really is, and understanding the fact that, you know what, you don't have to be medicated up or whatever else, or zoomed out the game, or in the game of the gang life, so to speak, to get ahead. So you have to stay involved in this. So that became my passion, to be a part of this work and to do this work.
Yes. Thank you so much, Thomas. Man, you getting so much support in the comments. And so now I'm about to hand it back over to Candy. Candy seemed to have worked out, and she left again. Candy.
Wow.
So I would like to bring up Ingrid Archie. So please, Ingrid, can you enter into? Thank you. There goes my Ingrid. So Ingrid Archie, I know is a powerful advocate for prisoners' rights, as well as those that are formerly incarcerated. She has about 3 organizations in which she's juggling right now, and she's just been doing some powerful work. So Ingrid, can you introduce yourself to everyone? Tell us a little bit about the organization you work with, and then I'll go and start hitting you up with the questions. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. So my name is Ingrid Archie, and I am the Civic Engagement Coordinator at A New Way of Life Reentry Project, which is located in Watts, California. And A New Way of Life provides housing, advocacy, and supportive services for women who are coming home from prison and also county jails.
Okay, so can we go a little bit back before we move forward, right? So tell us a little bit about you, because like everyone already knows that everybody on the panel is formerly incarcerated. So if you don't mind sharing and disclosing a little bit about your time, or maybe what you believe led into your incarceration.
So I've been in and out of jail since I was 14 years old. That's when I caught my first charge, which was a violent charge. I was in the system already. I was in a placement, and you know what happens when you're in a placement is certain elements, and the elements existed, but the support didn't. And so I went with the elements, and, you know, I was jacking people at my high school, you know, going to school, robbing people, because that's what we do, beat people up. And that was the way that I was able to place my anger, because, you know, I was mad because I was in the system. I was mad because my mom wasn't around. You know, I was an angry kid. And instead of them understanding the fact that I was traumatized as a child, and why I was in the system in the first place, they criminalized my trauma, you know, and they put me into different systems. And so I acted out every chance I got. Every placement they sent me to, I ran away, or I would demolish it, because I didn't understand why I was so angry, and I didn't understand where to place my anger at that time.
Yeah.
I was in and out until about 7 years ago. I've been home 7 years now. I guess this is the longest I've been home, since 14. And I would say that just going in and out of the system, in and out, you know, I picked up a lot of things. I picked up just how to be a better criminal every single time. You know, I had children within those times. So, well, the one child that I did have when I was in and out, you know, she, I guess it kind of just, you know, gave her that kind of sense of, you know, my mom is going to leave. My mom is going to leave. So she always felt like, you know, you're here now, but you're going to do something crazy and you're going to get arrested again. And so because of my, you know, because I wouldn't even say my addiction, because I was addicted to crime, and I was addicted to violence, and I was addicted to, you know, the rush of just doing things to people.
Yeah.
And you know, that is what created that in her, you know, that feeling of my mom is not going to be around. Eventually, the last time I went to jail, I had 3 kids at the time. One was 2, the other was about 4 months, and then it was my oldest, which was Ariana. And the baby I left in the car and went in the store with my child, and a security guard called the police on me, and I caught a child endangerment charge, and I went to jail for it. I was already on probation for another case that I had caught a few years back, so I had a joint suspension. So because of the joint suspension is the reason why I went to prison. The reason why I know this is because the public defender said we don't normally put people in jail for child endangerment, but because your record is so extensive and you have I had a gang charge, you know, on my record. And so she was like, you belong in prison. And I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. And I went to prison, you know, for something I shouldn't have went to prison for. It was a theft charge. But because, you know, the public pretender didn't want to represent me the way she was supposed to, you know, I ended up going to prison. And so I fought my way out of it, you know. Prop 47, which was a law that was passed on the ballot. I think it was a ballot initiative, I believe in 2014, which was to take, you know, property crimes, receiving stolen, it was 5 charges that that will address the fact that people were, you know, the jails were overcrowded, right? So they wanted to bring about a law that would reduce it. Prop 47 was the law that will reduce the jails, because a lot of people who were sitting in jail were sitting in jails because for a drug habit, or for a $5 rock, or because I stole $200 worth of something. You know, I think about 85% of the people, well, I wouldn't say 85, but the majority of people that were sitting in jail was for lower level crimes. So to address that, they passed a bill, you know, that would make those crimes become misdemeanors. And I had one of those crimes. And when I petitioned for it in prison, because I saw people, you know, coming home and getting out, and I'm like, well, I got the same crime, so I'm still sitting up in here. So, you know, when I went and I asked them, well, why am I in here? You know, and I got the same crime. She was like, because you don't qualify for it. It's for lifers. You know, somebody that worked for CDC, you would expect for them to have more knowledge than that, but I guess they didn't. So I had to do what I had to do with my 2 indigent envelopes, and 4 months later I was free. You feel me?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So look, because I'm telling, because I want to make sure that, man, because I want to get into it with you, right? Which is that you made a statement, right, in which I was going to actually, said it myself, is that how, as we talk about advancing social justice and equity, how the fact that incarceration itself has been used as a tool of injustice against the BIPOC community, right? And all of these, as Thomas talked about, the laws, the policies that are in place that actually help to destroy set us up for failure, and then is used against us to either separate or destroy our community, right?
Right.
And so they criminalize survival, they criminalize addiction, they criminalize poverty. You know what I'm saying? And because of those things, I think all three of us was incarcerated, because as Thomas was trying to understand his addiction, as you were trying to survive and feed your kids, and as I was trying to survive out of domestic violence situation, we all found ourselves long-term incarcerated, right? And now having to fight our way out. So I know that what you do is you are a strong policy and legislative advocate in the community. So can you talk so going through that, understanding your behaviors, understanding the cycle, understanding what you needed, what do you feel? So no, let me scratch that question. My question I'm gonna go is to this, is that how did you find yourself going from being a part of the system to now fighting and changing the system? That's the question I want to ask.
So when they took my kids, like that was my rock bottom right there, because I had been taken by my mom. So, like instantly what popped in my head is I'm repeating a cycle. You know what I mean? It was my mom's fault. It wasn't about the system set me up. It wasn't about none of that. It was just about me taking responsibility for the part that I'm playing, in my life right now. And what am I going to do about it moving forward? And so, I got up to the cell the first night. I hit my knees and I asked God to just, take whatever malice that I had in my heart for people, whatever unforgiveness that I had, that I would forgive people so that I could do something different with my life, because apparently I'm making the same mistakes, that my parents had made, and I needed to do something different. And that was the only thing at the time that I could come up with. And so, along with that, I just started praying a lot, and my mind shifted and something popped in my head. Like, my spirit was talking to me. What would you do if you got a second chance? What would you do with it? And my question, I was talking to myself, sure was, in jail. And my question to myself, or my spirit, was, I'm going to take it and run with it. I'm going to run it up the middle. And so what happened was, I ended up coming home early. I ended up not doing the time that they wanted to give me. They wanted to give me 7 years. I got out in 8 months. I went to a new way of life. And then, just the fight that I was going through with my kids and everything that I have been to. I have been in, domestic violence relationships. That was why, I was in the situation I was in, because I was fleeing from a domestic violence relationship, and I was going through postpartum depression, and I asked for help, and I got told no. You know what I'm saying? So the only answer I got told yes to was to open up a door and put me in a cell. You feel me? And so, just understanding all that, I asked God to use me, like whatever it is, everything that I've been through, has to be beneficial to somebody. So, use me. And then I went to a Prop 47 anniversary, with Lenore Anderson and everybody from CSJ. And I spoke and I told my story. I talked about how, because of this law, I was able to come home to my kids. I was able to not miss my daughter's birthday, so on and so forth. And from that, I started to become the face of Prop 47. Now, I went from laying in a bunk, looking at the commercials about Prop 47 on the TV in county jail. And I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? If I qualify for that, I'm out of here. And then, to be in the face of it. So I'm like, oh, wow. And it wasn't, nobody prepared me for it. I didn't do nothing great. I just asked God to use me. And then I became the face of the law. Boom. That's just how it went. I told my story. I did it without asking for anything. I just did it because I knew that whatever I had to say was going to touch somebody, right? And it was going to touch somebody like me, because it's other people that's laying in their bunks feeling hopeless like I was feeling hopeless, and feeling torn apart from their kids. And maybe something I can say, you know what I'm saying, could be able to touch them and not make them feel so hopeless, and make them feel like they have a future and they can rise up out of it, right? And so from there, I eventually, you know, with the help of A New Way of Life and all the resources, I got my kids back in 6 months, all of them. And then, you know, go ahead. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I muted myself because I was trying to get it all in. I didn't want no disturbance. Okay, so I know that you are working on some more policies right now that's concerning how formerly incarcerated.
Kelly, we can't hear you.
I
can hear her.
Yeah, they can hear me.
I can hear her.
Yeah, they can hear me. So let me just put that.
You can hear her, Ingrid?
Yeah, everybody.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to just, if you can, because I'm gonna go back to Thomas, because I got 2 more questions I just want to ask each one of you guys. But the question I want to ask you, Ingrid, is what is the work you're doing right now to advance social justice towards formerly incarcerated people like yourself having to now fight for their family rights and for the reunification of family without getting them adopted? Because I know that's some important policy work you're doing. So
I'm gonna start with we have a advocacy arm at A New Way of Life called All of Us or None, which we fight for the rights and restorations for people who have been incarcerated, and for people who are currently, you know, not who are formerly incarcerated as well. We fight for the rights and restorations, right? And so that's just one part of the work. You know, with that, we go up to Sacramento, we take trips to Sacramento, and we lobby. Lobbying is basically talking to your Senate or talking to your assembly member about different laws that are being passed in your community that can either affect your community in a positive way or adversely affect your community in negative ways, and advocate, you know, for, you know, their support in not passing something, or the support of something to be passed. I'm also the lead facilitator for Women Organizing for Justice and Opportunity, which is a project of A New Way of Life as well. And what we do is we train formerly incarcerated women who have been impacted by the justice system and have been separated by their children, right? Now, what led to this is the fight that I went through with my kids. And then more importantly, understanding that there's a bigger monster, you know, than just what's happening in LA in regards to separation of children from women who go in and out of jail, right? And it's called the Adoptions and Safe Families Act. And what this of 1997, and what this act does is it separates families. It incentivizes separation through fast track adoptions from kids 0 to 5, and also placements and so on and so forth. And then it also terminates the rights of a person with their children when their children is in the system longer than 18 months. It moves to terminate their rights, right? Which means that you cannot go back and have rights to that child again, which means that you will never, you know, you basically, it's saying that because you made a mistake, you no longer have the opportunity to be a parent. And this is happening to people who are going to jail. And so this law was meant to address children who were looming in the system. Looming in the system means they were sitting in foster care longer than they wanted to. And so they felt, if these kids are in foster care, we're going to incentivize adoptions, right? And if people are going to jail and it's an easy way to take their kids, you know, because there's so much money in taking people kids, then we're going to go after people who go to jail, because guess what? It's a big population of Black and brown people who are sitting in jail. It's a big population of Black and brown children who sit in foster care. It's a big population of Black and brown kids who are being adopted out and away from their parents while they sit in jail, and they come home and they never see them again. And so although people may feel like, okay, you was blessed to get your kids back. Yes, I was. But, you know, my sister down the street may not have had that same story. And so that is what my fight is for. I'm my sister's keeper. And I believe that, you know, those are our babies. Y'all gonna give us our mother effing babies back. You know what I'm saying? Without saying the cuss words.
I told you need to get it. I told you need to get a t-shirt made that says "Give us our mother effing babies back."
Y'all can't take our kids and incentivize the reason behind it and think that y'all just gonna go untouched. Y'all not gonna touch the prison system, and y'all not gonna touch all these other systems, but we not gonna talk about the child welfare system. No, we gonna lift up that system and we gonna dismantle it.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Ingrid. So this is the last question. I'm gonna give you a minute, and then I'm gonna give Thomas the last 4 minutes, because girl, you came powerful. If you ain't advancing social justice and equity, I don't know what it looks like. Okay, I don't know what it is, but I want to know how would you want the community to either better support, or either you can answer both, better support formerly incarcerated individuals, and how can they better support the work that you're doing? And I'm gonna go to the comments after that.
I mean, they could go to anewayoflife.org and look up all the different work that we're doing, and, you know, and just really dive into it, read about it before they just say we want to jump into it. Because you can't just jump into something unless it's something that's attractive to you, right? You know, there's different ways to support people that are coming home. First, you have to understand what they have been through. You know, research what people go through in prison, and understand that they're not going to come out the same. I'm still not the same, and it's been 7 years. You know, nobody is the same when they come home from that system. And then just understanding that the road is long and the support is needed. The community has to wrap their arms around people who come from prison, because just like, you know, a person going off to college and they come back and they need that support, and, you know, they want to be able to get a good job, and they get that support to get a good job. It's the same thing with a person who make a mistake and come back to the community. They want to be able to move forward with their life and not be held back or looked at, you know, with a judgment because a person may feel this type of way or this, that, and the third. You know, everybody makes mistakes, and community is very important. Community is important because we have enough daggers coming at us, you know, just as Black and brown people. When we don't support each other, we are perpetuating the same thing, you know, as the people who are throwing the daggers. So we got to separate ourselves from that and understand that supporting our people and ushering our people back to the community in safe ways is a part of public safety. And, you know, it's a part of it's what ensures a person's success and how people re-enter back into society.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. Hang out with us for a little bit. We got a couple more people, but I think that we probably just need you in the room. Stay in the room, sister. Thomas, same question to you, brother, is that how do you feel that we can better support formerly incarcerated men, and how can we better support the work that you're doing? How can the community to better support what you're doing to advance social justice and equity?
I'm gonna ask the second question first, because I think that one of the most important things that we can do in the community is support things like HEI, Alternatives to Incarceration, where people don't have to go from the school to prison pipeline. That MHSS funding, that they fund ODR and those other things that people have been talking about out here in our community. MHSA, that's what I meant to say, because those things are important in giving our dollars back to the community so that people don't have to experience those kind of things. And one of the other things that I think is important is, here recently I was nominated for and put an application in for a commission here within Los Angeles County. I'm not going to say which one because it's out there, but I feel that if I get to be a part of that commission and what they're doing, that would help give a voice to people who have lived experience on these boards and commissions, so they can get it from people that's in the community, from the grassroots organizations, as opposed to all these academia that sits on these boards that don't know really anything that's happened in your community, yet alone even step a foot in your community. So that's important to me. And I think also that insofar as a support network is concerned, a support network is, we need people out here that are willing to stand up to mentor people, and particularly Black men that are out here. People need to see the face of successful Black men who have made it. And just because you made it, don't leave the other person behind that's left in the ditches, so to speak. Go back and pull that brother up or pull that sister up and let them know, you know what? Let me give back to my community. Let me show a form of restorative justice by just giving to you and giving you just giving me some conversations, just giving me some tools. We're always looking for tools on our tool belt because we need to keep adding things to our toolkit that we need to help us move forward and propel. Sometimes we don't get that. In the work I do, even as the company people that I work for at Timeless Group as a program manager, just being able to deal with people that have mental health issues and trying to find them housing and giving them wraparound services and care. Those things are important because those people at the end of the day, they're coming right back to our communities, and we want them to come back to our communities whole, not so much broken apart and frazzled up and everything, because we've all been fragmented in some way, shape, or form. And there's always somebody out here that I tell people this every day. You cannot find anybody in our community right now who has not been touched by the criminal justice system, be it a friend, be it associate, be it a cousin, be it an uncle, aunt, niece, or nephew, anybody. Everybody's been touched by this criminal justice system. And the only reason that they're touched by it because the amount of money that's involved in it, billions and billions of dollars are involved in this system because it's built on the backs of the taxpayers who's footing the bill for these things. Even on the reentry front, now that we're not doing incarceration, we're doing reentry and we're doing housing and homelessness. That's where the money's at. So everybody want to jump on the bandwagon for that. But what's happening in our communities as a whole?
What's happening in our communities as a whole?
Right. And then you got to also remember that aspect that we all have to have some kind of faith-based mechanism in which to go from. God gave me the ability to get this. Ingrid talking about being redeemed. We got to have some kind of spiritual base. So without me having that base, I would still be sitting up in that cell in the hole in the shoe, talking to my friends and my buddies and pals. Those voices in my head, my mental health, so to speak. So give praise to God for all of this.
Yes, that was good. I'm glad that you and Ingrid both brought up the spiritual part of it, right? Because as we talk about those that are formerly incarcerated or what programs that they need, we know that providing homes, providing shelter, providing food, providing clothing and stuff like that is helpful, right? It's the basic needs, because sometimes it's the basic needs that actually set us up for either losing our sobriety or recidivism or something like that, just trying to make your basic needs. But what about the relational part? What about the spiritual part, which is necessary? And so, like you said before, a lot of times, and I'm glad that we are at positions of leadership right now. In the last 10 years, I can actually say that I have seen those that are formerly incarcerated change the way program, the way in employment, the legal system. Like, we have made some really strong world-changing shifts in our society, and now we have those that are formerly incarcerated that are now in leadership positions. They're on city council boards. I myself I'm a Los Angeles commissioner for the community and family services as well. And when I was appointed, matter of fact, when I was nominated, I said, "Are you sure? Do you know that I am a former gang member and I'm a formerly incarcerated? Like, you sure you want me?" And then I know it was Marquise Harris Dawson who said, "That's exactly what we need. We need somebody like you to represent the community and to actually show that it is possible," right? And so I was like, "Oh, wow." But I was so intimidated. I felt so sometimes out of place. But then, as Ingrid and you guys talked about, is that if not me, then who?
Then who?
Then who? Then who? In order for us to advocate for the rights, the housing, the job opportunities, and so forth. And so that's the reason what we have coming up a little later on in this program is we have other formerly incarcerated individuals that will be coming on to talk about how do those that are formerly incarcerated build equity in their communities, but not only in their communities, how do they build social wealth? How do they tap into the careers, and like you say, some of those, the funding and the community development that is coming down? Like, how do we as formerly incarcerated individuals or how do we support those to be able to get to a place of empowerment and leadership? And so I want to thank you guys so much for all that you have given us, all that you have shared with us. and so forth. So I don't know if Candy is ready to come back on right now. I'm gonna ask Ashley. Ashley, is Candy ready to join us again? If not, let me know. Wiggle your nose, blink 2 times. Let me know. Oh, so wait a minute. We have a couple questions out the audience.
But
My bad.
I do want to share. I do want to share something to you,
Okay.
Kelly, about criminogenic, and a lot of people are not familiar with the term criminogenic.
Oh,
And the
criminogenic.
term criminogenic has to do with a situation, a place causing or likely to cause criminal behavior,
Okay.
and that's something that we all need to be aware of because the criminogenic usage of that word alone, just that word, that's what they use against us. That's what they bring about all the time.
Right. Okay, so here's a question that either one of you guys can answer or both. I believe it was Liv who said in here is how do you help your loved one who is currently incarcerated? So now even though we're formally incarcerated, and I know that it's different for women. So let me just say this because I haven't spoken yet. But I know that when it comes to men and women, the support that women get that are incarcerated is very much lower than that men get. We get Women get less visits, they get less visits with their children, they get less financial support. And so as men usually have their mothers who look out for them sisters or their baby mamas or their wives or the girlfriends, the girlfriends that they leave behind, and they're usually circling. I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but what I'm saying is that usually men get far more support than women do. We don't get that kind of support.
Let me just
My question is, so yes,
let
I'm
me just
over
say
to
this
Thomas.
because one of the things that I do really do a lot is I help people get found suitable to the Board of Parole hearings. I do what you call a BPH packet, a Board of Parole hearings packet. I write support letters on their behalf. I make sure that they're involved in programs in prison that help incentivize them in front of the board, that they're in anger management, that they're doing alternatives to incarceration. Alternatives to violence programs, that they're doing the parenting classes, and that they're doing the schooling and things that they need to show the board evidence because they want evidence-based stuff in real time to show that you're participating in these programs and you're not just going through them through the motions, so to speak. They want it to be based on something evidence-based. So that's one of the tools in which I utilize in helping people when they reach out to me and ask me to write a letter for them for the board. I say, well, what are you doing? I need to know. Give me something to go on. Give me something that has teeth. Send me your 128B chronicles. Send me your chronicles for your classification. Send me the justification that you're attending AA and NA. Send me the things that the chronicles that the correctional staff are writing on your behalf, these 128s and things which make you worthy of suitability before the board so you can submit your packet so that we can give this to people in the community and community leaders that are out here and change the narrative for you, so to speak, to whereas you are now doing positive things and that you're no longer the person that you were when you went to prison. Because everybody knows that even the United States Supreme Court says it. You're not really at your full mental capacity till you're at least 25 years of age, period. That's the law. And most of us are going into prison with 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, being tried as an adult. But on the end of it, you have to hook up with organizations like Amity, Health Right 360, A New Way of Life, Timeless Group, and all these other. You got to hook up with these organizations so these people can write letters to see what you're doing so that the stronger base that you have, because everything is based upon paper. They need to have a paper trail for what you have, that you participated in these groups, that, if you have family restorative rights for your family and everything. The same thing Ingrid's talking about. And I know that women get less things than men, but there's things that women do get. And I'm pretty sure Ingrid's going to address that. But the fact of the matter is, you can make an impact on other people just by helping them through their period of incarceration, by being supportive of them, write letters on their behalf, speaking out to people in the community and saying, this is how this person has changed. I'm no longer the person that I was when I committed these offenses. I'm this person now. I've matured and grown.
Okay. Thank you so much, Thomas. That was powerful. So what I heard was that one way we can support those that are formerly incarcerated is gather letters from community, from family members, from those that may help, right? So that's one way. Another way is to make sure that they they are connected to advocacy agencies that actually have a foot inside of incarceration that they can touch bases with and get them ready for reentry. Ingrid, last question, and I'm gonna let you guys go. How do you feel that how do you help your loved one who is currently incarcerated?
So I guess it depends on what type of help they want. You know what I'm saying? Like you could offer somebody help, but if it ain't the help that they looking for, what good is it gonna do? You know what I'm saying? If they looking for help as far as how to prepare to come home, you know, you could start helping them to gather legal documents, because the first thing you do need to do is make sure that you have funds when you come home. If you don't have, you know, a financial system set up, you know, people who are incarcerated have kids on the outside. You know, they may need help and support in locating kids or taking care of kids, making sure that kids is straight, whether it be in a foster home or whether it just be with a relative. Some people may need, you know, support as far as just writing them a letter, you know, so that they don't feel so alone, you know, while they're in the inside. Some people need support in finding places to stay. You know, there's a lot of different types of ways to support a person, but it would depend on the type of support that they're looking for. You know, I feel like it's just not one way that you can answer that question. It's many ways you can answer
Many
it.
ways you can support, definitely.
Mhm.
So thank you guys so much for joining us, Thomas. Thank you, Ingrid. I want you guys to have a blessed and prosperous rest of your day. Right, peace and blessings be upon you, sister, as well as you, brother Thomas. And thank you so much. Thank you, Bree, and thank you for so much, because I know Thomas, he know how to shoot it, but you was keeping up. You was keeping up. So thank you so much for that. So next, everyone who's still here with us, we have another phenomenal gentleman coming to the stage. Um, he is a brother that I know. He's about what he says he's about. He's going to bring something, the work that he's been doing as a formerly incarcerated individual. His name is Brother Vincent Bragg. So, Vincent, can you join us? And so, and before he gets to speak, right? So we're going to bring him to the stage and everything. But before he actually comes on to speak with us, he has a video that he wants to share with us. And so, Ashley, or I don't know who's going to be running the video. Candy, have you seen the video yet? Because I ain't
I
seen it.
saw the video. The video is bomb.
Okay, I'm ready
Yes.
for it. I'm ready for it, Candy.
Yes.
Okay, then. So, can we see the
All
video?
right.
They're looking for it in all the same old places. See, that big creativity? It happens under pressure. When it's walled in, forced into a box. Life or death. We're not talking the kind of creativity that gets you an A in art school. We're talking the kind it takes to rob a bank with 24/7 security and 2 days to plan. The kind that can launder a drug empire's money across 3 different countries. The kind that looks at a Garden National Monument and sees a canvas. The kind of creativity that takes serious skill. The same kind that now sits in a cell 23 hours a day, just waiting to be put to better use. That's why we founded Concreates, an agency that sources ideas from diverse creatives with criminal backgrounds. You get groundbreaking work, our Concreators get the second chance they deserve. Everyone wants outside-the-box ideas, but real creativity, it comes from the people who know that box really, really well. Concreates, radical ideas from radical thinkers.
Ooh, powerful, powerful. Concreates. What? Okay, then. So, um, Brother Vincent, can you come to the stage, please? There you are.
Hey.
Okay, Candy, you wanna go ahead on and talk to Vincent? Because I wanna sit back and I wanna watch. Are you ready to speak?
I am, yes.
Okay. How you doing today, Vincent?
I'm good. I'm over here filling out grants and working on projects.
So I'm not sure if you all can hear me because we are having some real technical difficulties on this final.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. It's okay. But don't worry, that's my Candy, and I got her back. I got PRC back. So but this is what I want everybody to just know is that Brother Vincent, I was able to talk with him about a couple years back, and he shared his idea of what Concreates and what he was trying to bring to the community. He's actually been trying to bring it to the area of Watts and Southeast, in which I know that I'm from the Southeast, you from the Southeast, we from the East Side. And so a lot of times, you just have these phenomenal ideas that I believe that now is starting to catch on. Like they're starting to now buy in, because at first it was tough with the buy-in, right?
Sure.
So but before we go into it, I want you to introduce yourself to everyone, give a little bit of your background story, and as we get ready to move forward, and then just really present you and what Concreates bring to the community.
Absolutely. So for those that don't know me, my name is Vincent Bragg. I do come from area Watts, and during the whole gentrification of the place, we all got those kind of vouchers to move out to places like Palmdale and the IE and things like that, and we participated in that. We moved out of the city and moved to Palmdale. I kind of just like feel like you could take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the boy. And I came into this space and still was just like really like hungry to increase my situation. And so I know where we come from is we don't have really many options, right? It's like you can either sing or rap, right? You could play ball or you could sell drugs. And me personally, I chose the latter. And so fast forward, I was indicted by the United States government for conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute 15 to 50 kilograms of cocaine. I was sentenced to 121 months in federal prison, which is 10 years, 1 month. And I kind of just leveraged that opportunity to like really just like re-educate myself, I should say. I mean, I studied law and corporate law, real estate law. I read over 450 books. I wrote 3 books and happened to be incarcerated with a bunch of other people from South Central, right? That, were either gang members or bank robbers or former drug dealers. And, one of my co-founders who also successfully robbed 27 banks, we ended up in prison with the same founder of this underwear company. And we were able to give this man some ideas that took his company from doing about 400,000 in sales a month to over $11 million in sales a month. Now they're doing I want to say 100 million a year and potentially getting ready to exit to a big underwear company. And we were the breakout campaigns for that. And so for us, it sparked this thing inside of me that really said, wait a minute, we could do this for other brands. And so I started to study advertising. I started watching commercials more. I really started to understand there's a whole industry that people like us, where we come from, we don't even realize our ideas are worth as much money as they are. I'm sorry, you cut out, sis.
I'm sorry, I have my mic off. I apologize because I just like the flow. But we are in the community, especially among our youth, among even those that, like you say, come formerly incarcerated, because sometimes when you sitting up in there and you're incarcerated or you just got this time to think, we come up with these brilliant ideas when we're left to just the core part of us, right?
Right.
And so but like you said, $1 million ideas. Yeah.
Right. $1 billion ideas, actually.
$1 billion
right.
ideas.
And so these ideas, it's so funny because whenever I'm hanging out with, folks from either the communities that we come from or just family, and I always have to explain to people they're always like, what do you do? What do you do again? And it's hard to like get our people to really understand. Like I literally come up with ideas.
So,
And I
so let me ask you this question, because I know you want to poll the audience. You have a thing on which you're going to poll the
Sure.
audience. But I want to know, do you want to poll the audience now? Or do you want to answer a couple more questions? Because I want to ask what is unique about your business, right?
Sure.
And why formerly incarcerated men and women, right? But
Sure.
so would you rather poll the audience now, or do you want to answer the question first?
I would rather poll first, because I think for people who haven't experienced incarceration, this is a really good exercise to build empathy and understanding. And I think that will answer that first question of like what makes us unique and why formerly incarcerated men and women.
Okay. So we're getting ready to poll, you guys. So right now, if you can see, Ashley is going to ask us a question. And the first question is, have you ever stole something you needed, like food or sanitary supplies, right? Ooh, this is good. This is good. This is good. Okay. This is good. So you guys, if you can see your screen, there's a poll on your screen. All you have to do is just click on the answer, whether if it's yes, whether if it's no, so we can get an accurate. We have 15 people have already voted. I'm just going to wait just a couple more seconds, then we're going to move forward, right? So 44% of the people say yes, that they have. Oh, wait a minute. See, here we go. Now, y'all, okay, don't be scared. We've been out here pouring our hearts out. Y'all hiding behind a pole. You can tell us whether or not you done stole something. We know you done stole something. So, yeah. So, okay. So we have 60% that says no. They must have been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Okay.
40% said yes, though, which is
40% said yes. Go ahead, on Vincent.
Next question, please.
Next question. Next question is, have you ever registered your street? Wait a minute. Your
street or school outside the district that you live in.
Okay, street or school outside your district. So what do you mean by that? Have you ever registered your street or school? Oh, have you ever registered for school outside your district?
Right.
Oh, okay. So have you ever registered for school outside of your district?
Right. So if you from 109th to Avalon, but you want to go to school in the Valley,
yeah,
you use somebody else's address.
Yeah. So that's what you should have said. How many of y'all didn't use somebody else's address to go to a better school? That's what the question should have said. Okay. Everybody. So 8%. We're gonna wait a couple more seconds, but 53% say yes. Them the same people who would see y'all. The people that said no is the same people that was stealing the education from somebody else's community. Okay, so I just want to let you know. So okay, so it's 50-50. It's right down the line. It's right down the line. We need one more to tip it. Someone, come on now, be honest. We ain't gonna track you down. The feds ain't listening. Okay, all right. So it's 50-50. Next question. Have you said you made less money than you did for tax purposes? You digging all in people business, Vincent. I don't know. We just now coming off of tax season. I don't know. And there's a lot of people who own businesses here. But have you ever said you made less money than you did for tax purposes? I'm gonna say, for me, I'm just gonna say no, because I thought I was uneducated and coming out of incarceration. So I was like, yeah, like I was proud that I made this money until I owed them like $1,000 after I reported it. So I was like, oh, never again, I'm gonna do that.
Right.
So, yes. All right. Somebody said yes. Yes. See, there you go, stealing again. But here you go. Have you? So let's move to the next question. So 56% says yes, but 45% says no. All right, you honest Joes. It says, have you ever been accused of something you never did? Oh my God. Yes. Yes. How many? Everybody.
100%.
Everybody. Okay. I think, is there one more question or is this the last one? 2 more questions left. Okay. 2 more questions left. Let's go to the next question. Have you ever used the bathroom in public? Oh, wow. Would that mean like outside on the side of the freeway?
Yeah, anywhere in public.
When I'm coming home from the club and I know I ain't gonna make it.
And you in that parking structure?
Okay. Yes. I know most of the men all the men that's on here, I know they should be saying yes. Because I know that they should say yes, right? Because when your wife or your girlfriend or your sister or your mom is using up the bathrooms, many times you done hit the side of the house. I already know. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna advance social justice and equity today, though. One last question. 71% said yes. Okay. 5 said no. They held it. It says, have you ever got into a physical fight with a sibling? Wow. Yes. Woo, that was quick. Y'all answered that quick. It was no hesitation on that one. Okay, so we have 86% says yes, 14% says no. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating in our poll. I think that was kind of fun. Vincent had some juicy questions. So Vincent, talk to me.
Naturally, like when I ask these questions, especially when I'm doing speaking engagements live, you know, most people would just raise their hand for their answer. And then at the end of that, I would say, congratulations, right? You're a con-creator, because if you've ever used the bathroom outside, depending on the cop who saw you do that, that's indecent exposure. It could even be escalated to potentially a sex offense, right? And so if you've ever gotten to a physical fight with a sibling, well, that's actually assault, right? That could actually be a crime. And so a lot of us have actually committed crimes throughout our entire lives without realizing we just never got caught. And so that's the purpose of this, is to realize, wait a minute, we're all one bad decision away from being incarcerated. If you ever stole something, that goes on your record, you know? So the questions were literally tax evasion, you know, lying about certain things on your taxes. These are all crimes, and we commit those things without even thinking about it. And so I want people to realize that just because I've been incarcerated or you've been incarcerated, it doesn't change the brilliance that's behind and beyond bars. It's I did a bad thing, right? I made a mistake, or whatever the case may be. And I don't think one mistake should define a person for the rest of their lives.
Okay. But let me just say this: your mistake that you made actually catapulted you into your destiny and your purpose. I mean, because you do some, man, I'm just so proud of the work you're doing, especially as an East Sider. So tell us a little bit, what makes your business unique, and how do you feel that you're advancing social justice and also social equity with your business?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing that makes us unique is I literally start with the crime. Your criminal history is actually what gets you the job with us. And what that means is I founded the company with a gentleman named Joe Nixon, who successfully robbed 27 banks. And when I approached him, I said, I know you're in here for bank robbery, but you're not a bank robber, right? You're a strategist, right? You're someone who has to plan. You're someone who is methodical, someone who has to be charismatic. Because how do you get a bunch of people knowing we could either die or go to prison behind this to follow your lead and do that, right? You have to do market research. You really need to understand the bank, its schedule, all the things, right? And this is exactly what happens in marketing and in advertising. We have to understand what the market looks like. We have to do recognizance, if you will. We have to really just focus on the things that it took to pull off some of these crimes, and really just transform those skill sets into something that's not going to get you sent back to prison. And so the next part about, I think, what makes us super unique is we're solely employed by formerly incarcerated men and women. And this is around the country. Federal prison is where I was at. It's one system. You have people from Chicago, from the East Coast, all up and down the South, Midwest. We all do time together because, you know, you just travel around. They can ship you anywhere that they feel like they could ship you. And so I found, you know, different folks from different regions with different perspectives, with different crimes who fit into this mold of like solving problems for big business.
Yeah, wow. So one last thing, one last takeaway before we end up bringing on our next guest, which is
Sure.
Miss Darlene Burke from 10 Toes In. I tell her
Hey,
it's 10 toes down, baby, but she
let's
says
go.
10 toes in, right? So, but I just want to say, how can people get a hold of you, or what is it? How can they better support what you're doing, or what is it that you need? What is your ask
Sure.
for Concreate to advance and to grow? What is it that you want to say?
Well, I think the first thing is it's just the same thing as when we was in the streets. Like, we need money, right? My CCO, my creative officer, like his day rate is $8,000 a day. You know,
Wow.
it's you know, bank robbers are making that type of money. You know what I'm saying? My day rate is that we need money to be able to support these folks and to be able to train them, because they don't have the traditional training that it takes to go into advertising and what these big companies want to see in these boardrooms. So money is always appreciated. And then the other thing is, I think we really need to start looking at folks with criminal history as an asset and not a liability. So don't
Yes.
think because we're formerly incarcerated that we can't do your graphic design or your branding, or you're going to pay a smaller wage because of our criminal history, when we get the highest rate that any agency out there gets, from Wyden and Kennedy to 72 and Sunny. We get those rates. And so you pay for what you get, you know what I mean? And so
Well, what are some? I don't know if you're able to say this, but what are some of the contracts that you was able to secure?
Yeah, so we work with brands like Trojan, Adidas, Facebook that's actually a project that I'm working on now, is with Facebook. You know, we did the G20 summit last year. The G20 summit was supposed to be the first time it was ever open to the public, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia actually approved a team of formerly incarcerated people to put on an experience for the world leaders of planet Earth. And so you give us the opportunity. I literally founded this company on a belief system that creativity without opportunity is what leads to criminality. If you give us the opportunity, I promise you we're going to meet the deadline. We're going to meet the expectations and probably surpass them.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Like, man, you've been an inspiration to me, and I think I'm in the wrong business. I'm about to turn my hand in, brother, and I'm going over there to you.
Come with me, sis.
I should have came to you. I should have followed my first mind, Vincent. I should have followed my first mind. But thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, brother Vincent. In the chat, if you guys go in the chat, I put in the link to Concreate, which is it has a little catch. It's 2 C's, but it looks like 2 broken links, right? Breaking them chains. We breaking them chains of poverty, breaking them chains, right, of that thinking, and taking these small ideas and making them of doing criminal behavior and turning them into multi-million-dollar ideas. So if you look in the chat, that's Concreate. It's spelled CON CREATES, concreates.com. The brother Vincent Bragg, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Peace and blessings be upon you. I'm going to follow up with an application, brother.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a blessed night.
We'll talk soon, sis.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as we said, we have another individual that's coming to the stage, which is Miss Darlene Burke. Miss Darlene Burke is the founder, the CEO of 10 Toes In. I'm just the name right now just got me curious as to what you're talking about. Talk to me. So tell us a little bit, Darlene. So first of all, Darlene, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about 10 Toes In. What is your organization and what is it that you bring to the community?
All right, Kelly. Thank you so much for this opportunity and this platform for us to share. As you said, my name is Darlene Burke. I'm the founder and executive director for 10 Toes In. We are a mentorship and a domestic violence prevention program. We support, we educate, and we empower couples during and after incarceration. We also educate society about the dynamics of this very unique relationship. And we also assist our formerly incarcerated brothers who are coming home to help them reintegrate successfully, as well as maintain a healthy romantic relationship with their partners. So that's what we do. That's what we represent. So when we say 10 toes in, you got to be 10 toes in when you are in a relationship with a formerly incarcerated man, because it is not an easy journey. Not an easy journey.
I got about 4 homeboys, and I got about 2 family members, and just another guy that grew up with me in the community. 7 brothers that I know that I write letters for, I send money to, I do boxes for. And I'm telling you, it does, like when they say, how can you help someone formerly incarcerated? You can hear them, even if it's just keeping money on the phone for them to call. I know Brother Vincent, part of your organization, I know yours too, Darlene, is that you guys have that GTL system on the phone where they can actually call to you. So with that being said, Sister Darlene, how does 10 Toes In impact the community?
Wow. Well, let me give you a little background about myself, and I'm gonna go into that question. So I neglected to say that in the beginning. I'm from 35th and Budlong, so you know I'm from South Central.
Let's go.
Went to Dorsey High School, so representing. So with all that said, I was involved with my best friend of over 30 years. He was serving a 25 to life sentence. He was a lifer, of course. And I was looking for a support group for women like myself, right? Women who were involved with with incarcerated men at the time. I couldn't find one, so I created 10 Toes In, because women like me, we are judged harshly, right, by society. They're like, why would you be with somebody who is incarcerated? Why would you be with somebody who's even formerly incarcerated? So 10 Toes In took the role to say, because everybody deserves to be loved, right? Everybody deserves to be loved. And with that said, we started to bring the brothers in, right? So you're asking how we impact the community with the services that we have. I'm going to talk about the support groups that we have with 10 Toes In, right?
Yeah.
So we have a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men, which we meet every second Saturday of the month at our office location located at Chuco's Justice Center on 76th and Central. So we still in the hood, right? Yes, ma'am.
You're
At
on the
Chuco's.
east side, Darlene. No, you're not just on the hood, you're on the east side.
I'm on the east side. I'm there. We there. We there. We are there for our brothers and our sisters. So we provide a safe space for our brothers to come to, talk about their journey, talk about the challenges, talk about the obstacles. As we know, our brothers do not trust easily, right? So you have to win them over. And I think that I've done a pretty good job in doing that with them. So they come in, they're hugging each other, they're talking, they're chopping it up. They're happy to be in that space together because they're surrounded by men who understand what they've been through. So that's our mentorship support group. Then we have a sister support group for women who are involved with formerly incarcerated men and incarcerated men. Again, we provide a safe space for these women to come to and be loved on, supported, because as I said, these relationships are not easy. However, when you go and visit a man in prison, typically you're going to see 85 to 90% of those visitors are their women, their wives, their significant others, but they never get the credit, right? They're always talked about and they're always viewed as being desperate, low self-esteem and things of that nature, which is the total opposite of what 10 Toes In represents. We also have our couple support group. So once a month, the couples come together and they talk about their challenges. But the most important thing about that is that, man, I'm not alone on this journey. There are other couples who are going through the same thing that I'm going through. We do role playing, right? Because a lot of times our brothers come home and they're emotionally detached. Yeah. And the women are like, how do I deal with this situation? With 10 Toes In, we're doing a lot of role playing because we want to show you through a realistic lens, this is what it is, and this is how you can potentially solve that. We also have our Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum that we teach at Avenal State Prison and Pleasant Valley State Prison. Haven't been there since COVID, but we've been there for the last 4 years. And we teach our workshops throughout the state of California, from San Quentin to Lancaster. So the impact that we have on the community is that we're providing all these safe spaces for our brothers and sisters to come into that are making them healthier people. And when you have healthy people, you're not going to have crimes. You're going to have people that want to be on their grind. They want to do what they're supposed to be doing to become better versions of themselves. So our women are supporting our men to do that.
Right. You know, I'm glad. So let me just say this. It's that what you're doing is so unique, and it's so important that you've not only created a support system for those that in the community that's 10 toes in with their family members and trying to make sure that they continue to nurture those relationships, but also you got to understand that what you're doing is you're changing the love, the support, and the mental health that men and women face incarcerated when they're detached from the family, right? Because like as we stated earlier in this conversation, that incarceration itself is a destruction towards the families. And we know that Black and Latino families, or those that's from the BIPOC communities, have been more disproportionately affected and impacted by the separation of families, right?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So they create these policies, they create these laws that have really more so separated our men from the homes, but then they want to place these stigmas and shame women for not having those same men in the home, when a lot of times those men have committed criminal offenses in order to somehow feed their family, right? Because I know Brother Vincent spoke about, you know, how he was caught up with a drug charge. But for the most part, most young men that's from the community, especially South Central LA and any other type of urban community, usually those young men start off selling drugs, start off in those type of criminal robbing activities, because I watched a lot of those men take care of their mother's home, to get new furniture, to put food and meat in the refrigerator, and different things like that. So I just want to say thank you so much for keeping those family structures together. So what are you most proud of about your organization and what you have done to advance social justice and equity? What is Dark most proud of?
I'm going to tell you, Kelly, what I am most proud of is the 90% success rate of our brothers not returning to custody. Woo. That right there, 90%. You know, I tell them all the time, I'm a proud mama bear, because you guys are coming home. Our brothers did the work before they came home, right? So they were doing their self-help classes. They, you know, had stopped using the cell phones. They had stopped doing the other things that would, you know, get them written up or what have you. So when they came home, you know, they were ready. They were ready. So when I tell you I have an 85% rate of my brothers either being gainfully employed or entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I'm proud. And I'm proud of our sisters for supporting and standing by them and being receptive, because don't get it twisted. I mean, I'm definitely for, you know, love, and it's a universal language and all that, but we also teach our sisters how to look for and address the red flags as well in the relationships, right? But being, you know, successful with our brothers, and it's all about them. They're doing the work. 10 toes in, it's just
support them. So I know you're talking about scenarios, but what kind of events do you have you in the past created in order to foster in those relationships for when men are coming home? Like, do you do community events? Do you do family picnics? Anything like that, like where they can, you know, kind of get reacclimated into the societal structure and family structure?
Absolutely. So prior to COVID, we were doing our empowerment events. So we had Evening of Empowerment and we had Empowerment Breakfast. And those were being held at the Holiday Inn in Long Beach. So what this event did, it gave a platform to our formerly incarcerated brothers and also our sisters who were involved with our brothers or sisters whose partners were still incarcerated. So we gave them the platform to talk about their journey. What do you experience, right? How does society perceive you? How is society embracing you coming home? And they talk about, you know, I've had brothers cry up there because of the remorse that they feel, you know, so the empowerment events are very powerful. Every year prior to COVID, hopefully we'll be doing it this year, we have, as you say, a family picnic. So we do that at El Dorado Park. It's in the month of September. And it's like a family reunion. Come on, you have an open invitation.
You come,
okay?
It's in look, Mr. Like, when, hold up, Vincent gonna be in Dubai somewhere over there creating advertisements. So he just gotta check his Rolodex to make sure
it's
that
all about networking. It's all about networking. But this is a time for us just to get together, play some oldies. They play dominoes, we play spades, we do games, we have good food, and it's a family get down. And that's what we're about. I always talk about our 10 Toes in family and brothers and sisters, and I don't use those terms lightly.
Okay, so I'm asking anybody, do you guys have any questions? Does the audience have any questions before I let Vincent go, before I let Darlene go? Do you guys have any questions? I know that Barnita said, are there fellowships that work with our young men and giving them some positive direction? So like, I'm gonna ask Vincent this question. What do you, for some of the younger men that you're trying to recruit in,
Sure.
what are some of the things that you've had to do in order to get them out of a specific mindset, even though they might have something creative to bring to the table?
Sure. I think the easiest thing for me to describe is to show them how what they're already doing is applicable. One of the things that I'm big on is I don't want to change you. I think you're beautiful the way you are, right? I think everything about, they just demonize the way that we think or behave, but really they steal it from us. They steal our culture. So I just like to show the young men, hey, what you're doing as a gang member or a gang leader, like this is what operations is. This is where you lead teams to an end result, you know, and that end result just has to be different. And so I like to start with what they're already into, because that's where you find the beauty and the talent, and that's how you're able to scale it and cultivate it and nurture it.
Right. Thank you so much, Vincent. Darlene, and I got one last question for you, Darlene, because I think Vincent already answered this, which is that you can answer this question. Just answer this question first, and then I go to the next question. Then I go to the last question. Yeah.
So this question here, are there fellowships that work with our young men and giving them some positive direction?
Yeah.
From what I don't know of any. There could be some. I don't know of any. I mean, we don't have them. I mean, hopefully we will be getting some grants soon so that we can help our brothers who are coming home, right? Because they need it. But like I said, they're coming out the gate running. So if you guys know of any, please share it with 10 Toes in.
This is something that's in the works, and I'm not gonna really name any names, but like we got some pretty big brands that we're working with. All right, so in advertising, it's all about awards, right? And so I judge this particular award thing that people wait their whole careers to be a part of. And the people who created it ended up having an offline conversation, and they brought some of the brands in, and we're talking about creating a creative like summer camp for folks that's from where we from, young men and women, to be able to come and learn like the things about creativity, you know, just kind of get out in Joshua Tree or someplace like that. And so that's coming soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Darlene, how can people find you? What is your website? I just stuck it in the chat, but what is it how you feel like people can better support 10 Toes in order for you to continue to advance social justice and equity in the community?
Well, you can reach us at 10toesin.org. That's our website. We're on Facebook, 10 Toes In. We're on Instagram. Our number is 310-612-3977. you know, if they see us, like us on Instagram and Facebook, and we're also on LinkedIn as well. I know the social media is like the thing right now, so that would be great. If they see us, you know, they can always come through. If they see an event that they may, you know, give us a call. We'll let you know, hey, come through, so that you can, you know, actually see what we do in the community. You know, like I said, we're searching for funding, you know, because pretty much everything has been out of our pockets, so to speak.
Yeah.
We did receive a Durfee Foundation grant a couple of years ago, so that really has helped us. But for more people to become aware, you know, we address the component that's never talked about in reentry and incarceration. Nobody never talks about the intimate relationships of a formerly incarcerated man or an incarcerated man. And it's a trip because that's one of the number one reasons why men go back into prison: domestic violence or something dealing with the relationships. So you have an organization that's here to support you with that, with that situation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Darlene. Appreciate all the phenomenal work you did. You did such excellent today. You guys are going to be on Facebook. I hope that you guys can also share so people can see what you're doing. Appreciate you. I feel so honored to be in the know, to be in y'all space. And so I appreciate you, brother. So thank you guys for also the questions and supporting Darlene and supporting Brother Vincent and the work that they're doing and listening to their journey. Next and last but not least, we gonna save Big John Harriel for last. This is my brother right here. He belongs to me. This is from my tribe. That's my tribe right there. No, but brother John, Big John Harriel, is the superintendent for the Morrow Metals construction company. Is it construction or electrical company? Construction company. So I'm gonna bring him on because I might be getting it mixed up right now. Charge it to my head and not my heart. But he's going to tell you a little bit about himself because he holds many leadership titles. Not only is he a superintendent, he's also a part of the NAACP. But not only he's part of the NAACP, he's over the diversity and equity and inclusion. And so I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about his own achievements. Big John Harriel, can you, brother? He's affectionately known throughout LA, throughout Los Angeles as Big John, but for all the other people, they call him Big Daddy. Okay, so this is Big Daddy, Big John Harriel, that's coming to you right now. And so, Brother John, thank you so much for being
with us
tonight. Thank you so much. So, Big John, tell us a little bit about who you are and some of the roles of leadership that you have in the community of Los Angeles.
Well, for one, thank you, my dear sister, and thank you for having this forum, because the work that you do, I'm just glad to know you, my dear sister, because you're most definitely a warrior, yes, and a lioness in the community, and you protect all of us. And so, my dear sister, not only do I love you, I cherish you, and you are most definitely a source in the community and a diamond that is just shining, and God is working through you, and I can appreciate that. So for me, young Black man in my community, love my community. I'm also a father, a grandfather. I'm a union electrician, 25 years at Morrow Metals, diversity manager and superintendent. And for me, I'm just an individual who God chose to save my life. And when he chose to save my life, it was only natural for me to give it back to my community and all others. It doesn't matter if someone wants to do something productive, I'm there. I'm like the other brother that talked when he said, meet them at their spot. I don't care where a person comes from. If they open-minded, I can work with them. I don't judge, and it's here for free. It's not charged. This is something that's free, because the IBEW brought me in, Morrow Metals raised me, and together they saved my life. And so for me, I save other lives and give them what was given to me, because that's what we're supposed to do as a community, to do this. So I want to thank you for that, my sister.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I am very familiar with the work that you've done. I've served on the side of you, brother, in saving lives for the last 10 years. If not a little bit more than that, but I don't, we still look good. So I don't want to tell anybody
Absolutely.
we've been in the game. But you said that the IBEW,
Yes.
the IBEW saved your life. So can you tell us a little bit about what your life was like before you came home in the last 25 years?
Prior to joining the IBEW and then becoming a member of the Moral Metals family, I was in the streets, gang banging, selling drugs, had absolute low self-esteem. And so for me, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers did not judge me because I had a felony. There were some things I had to get because I dropped out of school. So I had to go get my GED. I had to go learn to get the algebra. But once I got that and I got in and I got dispatched to Moral Metals, I learned how to do a trade. So I am a union electrician. I know how to build with my hands. And in doing that, it just, all the things that I learned as a gang member and a hustler, because that community made me. And so that's why I never leave the community. I will never leave the community, because the community is what made me to where I can even endure what I went through becoming an electrician and being able to master my craft. But more importantly, being able to bring young men and women from various communities to enjoy not just being an electrician, but all of the trades, because of what they gave me, which was they gave me hope. They said it was okay to be a hard worker. Yeah. It's okay to build things with your hands. It's okay to be the #1 student in your apprenticeship class. It's okay to be a foreman, a general foreman, a superintendent. It's okay to do that because you are putting in the work. And so with those work ethics that I learned being an electrician, I give it back to the community and show it like that, that they can do this also when they're ready, because it is a process. There was nothing that was given. Everything is hard work. But I believe as a man in my community that if a man becomes complacent, that he is absolutely 100% useless to himself, to his community, to his family, and everything around him. No man should ever wake up in the morning and be comfortable. And if they are, they should just figure out a way not to be, but they're useless eaters. They're taking up time. They should come and learn how to be uncomfortable. And so for me, every day I wake up, I'm uncomfortable because it creates a better person, but also it creates a better community because I'm never satisfied in what I'm doing. There is much work to be done, and heavy is the crown of a king.
Ooh, heavy is the crown of the king. I hear you. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit because Darlene, she talked about making sure that the relationships are in place for when a brother or sister come home, but more so a brother when the brothers come home. So if you don't mind sharing, what was your life like when you returned home that created this defining moment that #1, you wanted to be an electrician, but that the fact that your life, you could not do what you were doing before?
The stakes were too high. And while I was in prison, I learned not only what it meant to be a man, but I learned what it meant to be a Black man. I realized that I wasn't a savage beast that I was portrayed to be. Right. I realized that a lot of the things that I was doing in my community was self-destruction. I just didn't know no better. But once I learned, then I knew that I had to do better. And in doing better has nothing to do with no one else. It's just in my community, I have to do better. And doing better means I have to be productive. I have to add and multiply. I cannot subtract and divide. And in doing that, when I understood that, I went to my friends. Others call them gang members. I call them friends. These are the individuals who raised me when there was no men around. These are my friends that loved me and took care of me. So for me to come back, I wanted to show myself approved, but also to help them if they want to change what they're doing to get into something productive, not judge them and not go, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, because that prison industrial complex is no joke. I mean, if I can show up in there every day and work for free, how come I can't take those skills and do that out here? Oftentimes individuals will get out in the real world and they will not practice what they practice in there to become better. They work every day in there and then get out here and decide to be lazy. And then there will be people like, i.e. mothers, women, wives, relatives that will take this person in and will allow them to be an anchor and sink the boat, when in reality, they should go out and go get it, because it can happen out here. I just got to get around the right people to add and multiply. And I must seek that. I can't wait for it to come to me. I have to go seek it.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
And I won't make the excuses.
So thank you so much for that. Like you said, I mean, I'm seeing in the chat, everybody saying, all right, brother, share, preach on, brother John, preach on, right? But so here's the thing. So now as we talk about you being formerly incarcerated,
Yes.
how have you empowered and impacted the community of those that are informally incarcerated?
Leading by example. There's nothing that I'm doing that anyone else cannot do, because we're empowering. I'm not telling somebody, hand them a piece of paper and say, here, go do this. No, I'm with them every week, and we're teaching them how to become successful. But it starts with myself. So what I had to do, I had to lose that urge to sell drugs. I had to lose that urge to get money quickly. I had to humble myself. And the humbling became because I started to understand who I was. No longer did I have low self-esteem, but I also understood the greater goal was, how can I help someone else? That is the ultimate test of a leader. A great leader is a servant. So I am a servant. And so for me, when they get out, they're incarcerated, it does not matter. We will not use that as a roadblock. Tell me what I can do to help you. And once we get that, we're going to move forward. There's no looking back. And so this is why I understand that I know why the rear view mirror is the smallest mirror in my car, is because it's not meant for me to look back. It's only a reference. Yeah, I've been to prison. It's just a reference point. I'm not going to focus on it. I'm going to move forward.
Yeah.
And so we move forward and we teach them those skills of loving thyself.
Yeah.
And with that, they can become a better carpenter, electrician, husband, brother, son, relative, and all community member. It happens once I start loving myself. And that's what I and others like myself teach. And that was bestowed upon me once I got into the IBEW and became an electrician and went to the Moral Metals family. The way that they treated me and the way that the IBEW accepted me, I couldn't do nothing but be an extension of that into my community to show what it means when someone truly cares about your well-being. And so all I do is just spread what they give to me, and it transfers to me, and I give it to others, and we learn from there, we grow together.
Yeah. What projects are you working on right now, Big John, that you might want to share with the community?
You name it. I mean, we took over a gas company in Blythe. We're doing the Conrac. We just did SoFi Stadium. I've done Martin Luther King Hospital, Kaiser Panorama City, Kaiser Woodland Hills, Kaiser Baldwin Hills, Dodger Stadium, Union Station, water filtration plants. There's nothing I can't build. And I'm not confused when I walk in somewhere. I know exactly what I'm doing because I am a master at this electrical game. But more importantly, I love life and I love helping others. The electrical, that's what's gonna feed me and take care of me. But more importantly, saving lives is the greater good. And through being an electrician, it has allowed me to do that. In my wildest dreams, I never thought I would live past 25.
Right. I know a lot of people will say, how is like you doing electrical work, right? How is it that you being an electrician, building a SoFi Stadium or whatever it is, or the Dodger Stadium, whatever it is that you're doing, how is that advancing social justice and equity? How does that balance out? Because
I'm not a drug dealer anymore. I don't walk around with big guns in my pocket. I don't look to go do harm to people, because now being in the trades, how it helps socially is the fact that individuals are picking up tape measures instead of guns. They're purchasing homes instead of doing home invasions. Wow. So at the end of the day, when I wake up in the morning, the reason why the crime rate is down is because I'm getting up at 2:30 every morning. I'm going to go build America. So I'm building the institutions, not destroying them. So in doing that, I become a productive citizen and I add and multiply in my community. And others that see that, they can repeat and repeat. And it's our job to hand that knowledge back. So this is how it affects socially, because I'm using my hands for good instead of evil, which I had no idea was evil, because the end of the day, growing up, that behavior that I displayed was normal. And so for me, I will never judge anyone that come from such a situation, because I understand that it's a learned behavior, but it also can be unlearned once I start loving myself and loving my community.
Right. Let me tell you something, Brother John. I was talking about you to an individual, and I said, this brother has advanced social justice, equity, and have expanded community wealth. And they said, how? I said, because of him, he has opened up the door and allowed at least 400 individuals who were formerly incarcerated to somehow now become construction workers, iron workers, and electricians, right? I said, and if you look at the average amount that they might make, let's just say it's $50,000 at the most, right? Just say it's $50,000. So if you have 400 individuals that are now making $50,000 in the community, Big John is now, that's $20 million that Big John has now helped to bring $20 million back into the community on a yearly basis. If that's not advancing social justice and equity, I don't know what it is.
I'm about to help you out. I wish it was 400. Unfortunately, it's 1,500.
Oh,
yeah, those are the facts.
Wow.
Those are the facts.
Wow.
1,500. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's in all aspects. And not only that, we bring the individuals down to our mentoring every Thursday that we do over at Abundant Life Christian Church, because again, that church, when I got out of prison, Pastor Tunstall and his family, they just accepted me.
Wow.
They accepted me. They didn't judge me. And I'm telling you, when I got out of prison, I was a mess. And they accepted me. And from that, I've been able to grow spiritually, but more importantly, helping so many people from different walks of life, different communities, and getting them into understanding how money works. So the experts come down to our mentoring every Thursday, and they will come down and teach individuals the difference between term life versus index universal life insurance policies, how to qualify for a home, how to get my credit together. And this is why we get individuals into careers, because at the end of the day, what I don't know can hurt me. And one of the things that we have to understand in our communities is ownership. And this is what I learned when I go to other communities. So when I'm hanging out in Newport Beach or Huntington Beach, or with my friends down in San Diego, my partner Jason and them down there in San Diego, I'm not looking at them saying, wow, this is how y'all live over here. I'm looking at them saying, wow, this is what I would do in my community. But number one is ownership. And in order to understand ownership, I got to love myself. It starts with me. But if I don't envision myself owning, and I don't envision myself being successful, and I envision myself just being complacent, then I'm useless. I'm absolutely useless. And I refuse to live my life useless. So when the day comes, and unfortunately, if God say, hey, you know what, big fella, we need another angel. When somebody get up and talk, they're going to know that that born on date and that died on date, right in between that dash, they're going to know that I live my dash. So I want to live my dash at the end of the day. And so that's why every single day I will do whatever I can to be uncomfortable, and I will help and do what I'm supposed to do in my community, because I'm going to live my dash.
Live your dash. You've been living your dash, and I am so happy that I met you in your dash. That I'm somewhere in there in the dash that I met you. And I met you at such a right time, because you have been such a mentor to me in my life. I'm telling you, Big John, he has been in my life since I first came home. He was one of the agency families in which God had allowed me to meet. And so, and from that, when the going gets tough, or there's sharks in the water, I call Big John, and he navigates me through the waters into safer ground so I can keep doing the work that I'm doing. Big John has been a sponsor. He has sponsored Back to the Basics financially, and to get us off the ground. He has sponsored Positive Results Center. Him and Moral Metals company gave a very beautiful donation. And now Big John, even though he's very modest, he is now the founder and the CEO of Big John Cares. And Big John Cares now is sponsoring projects along with Kaiser Permanente. and he works every Thursday. You'll see him, you'll catch him. He work every day, 6 days a week, but you'll catch him on Thursday night at Abundant Life Church, as he says, giving life skills and giving career opportunities for those that are formerly incarcerated. Big John, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We know you're a busy man. An hour of your time would cost somebody about $10,000, and we ain't got that kind of money.
No, it's all good. There's somebody by the name of Thomas Allen Smith. It appears that this young brother got some questions. I don't want to leave without him asking this question.
So one last thing. We got a couple minutes before we get out of here, but any last minute, any questions that you, Capri says, live your dash. You are so
That's my girl, Capri. That's my girl. Capri is good people. That's my girl.
Does anybody have any last minute questions before we begin to wrap it up and begin to thank everybody? Thomas was saying that I didn't get a chance to speak because I was also a speaker. But here's the thing, as Big John said, I'm from a community and tribe of servant leaders. So even though I might, wanted to speak and share how I was advancing social equity, social justice and equity, I was doing it tonight by making sure that I give voice, understanding to the community alongside with Candy and all of our collaborative sponsors and partners, to making sure that these voices are being heard and that you can connect with them. And you'll hear my story later on sometime in the near future. You can always catch me because my mouth is always going. But thank you, Big John, so much. We appreciate your time. Candy, I'm hoping that you can come on and close us out. Please, dear God, come on and say a couple words.
Okay, here I am, everyone. Yes, Kelly, before I do anything else, thank you so much. You rocked that conversation. Let me tell you, this conversation was made for you, Kelly. So thank you so much. You know I have love for you. And to all of our speakers and presenters, you did an amazing job, and I thank you so very much. To all of our guests that are here, we appreciate you. And this is the final session of Advancing Social Justice. But hold on, we will be back. We will be back either June, July, or August, but we need to find out from you. So please, when we send our surveys out, please respond. Let us know if you love this, if you like this, or what we can do to improve. And also, who do you want to hear from next? Did any of the speakers touch you? Did you could hear more from them? Should we have other people? And what's the conversation you want to hear? So I thank you so very much. My heart is full. I want to thank all of the PRC team, the back end with Ashley and Aaron, to Crystal and Gia and Kelly and Precious. Did I miss anyone? And Arnetta and all of the Black women leaders and all of our sponsors. So let's bring up that sponsor list again because we love you. Oh, and let me tell you about our board. We have the most dynamic board. If you're looking for a board to join, consider Positive Results or one of the other Black women leaders. And before I forget, on June 13th, we would like you to join us for Positive Results art fundraiser. Is called Love Heals. Okay, so it's actually called Art Heals. So contact us at prc123.org. And let's thank our sponsors right now. Again, our title sponsor is Southern California Gas Company. And then we have Kaiser Permanente. We have LA Care, Liberty Hill, Supervisor Hilda Celeste, Sweet Life, Los Angeles Business Journal, Forgiving for Living, Wendy Gladney, one of our Black women leaders, and the Bernard Kinsey Collection. If you're considering being a sponsor, reach out to us. We would love it. And we'd like to thank those of you who've made a donation tonight. It is not too late. It's never too late. Again, a big congratulations out to Kelly Dillon. You have my heart. You rock this conversation. I was not supposed to be here tonight. You know, everything happens for a reason. So thank you so much to each one of our speakers, Vincent Braggs, Ingrid, Archie, Darlene Burke, Big John, Kelly Dillon, and Thomas Allen Smith. Thank you so very much. And we are the Positive Results Center. You will get a copy of this video. It will be on our, not only on our website, but also you can find us on Facebook, and also we'll be sending it out to you. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a blessed evening. Hey everyone, I forgot to thank Pro Bono. You saw our amazing ASL team, and they have been so powerful and positive. Consider bringing ASL to your next organization's presentations, whether it is in person or virtual. It really does help. You have no idea who is in the room. So again, thank you very much to Pro Bono, to each one of our presenters. You have been amazing partners, and we thank you. For all of you who have been with us tonight and for all of the 6 series, we thank you. Our heart is so humble. Be blessed.